Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. It is so important to almost anybody here in Park City to get outside and enjoy the great outdoors that we cherish so much, and including in that are all the activities that we like, running and biking and golf and tennis. So much of it depends on our health, which is why I'm so very happy to have Dr. Scott Phillips here with Lifestyle Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We got to stay healthy for those activities, don't we?
I'll tell you, we live in the best place in the world to be healthy. I feel bad for anybody that's not at the peak of their health, especially this time of year.
Right.
It's beautiful outside right now today, especially. I've already gone on my run. Hopefully you've gotten a little bit of workout in.
Not just yet, but right after this program.
Time after.
Yeah.
And we can just be outside, and summertime's here. There's really no excuses to stay in and not be healthy.
Indeed. And as you and I were talking before we came on air, it's easy to forget. It is easy to put it aside for other matters in our lives, to think that health will come with it. It'll be okay. I need to focus on my job or some other activity today, or the kids or something like that. When in truth, if we don't put this at the foremost part of our focus, then all those other things aren't going to happen either.
You know, that's the thing, and sometimes we take it for granted. You ask anybody that, you know, wakes up one morning and can't get out of bed, for example.
Yeah, I call those sleeping injuries.
Yeah, serious crick in their neck. These are the people that I see in my office so often. They're, you know, all the other things that they had to worry about don't matter at all.
Right.
You know? And
yeah, you can shift gears then, but but as you call that, waiting for a crisis,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. And I think, you know, we talk so much. It's such an appropriate time to talk about health care right now, what's going on in our country and in politics and things like that. For me, health care, the best word in that is the care part, right? I want you to care about your health, and I think that can solve so many more of our health care problems if it's something in the forefront of our mind. If we're just thinking about it every single day, hey, I've got to do one thing, two things, maybe even three things today that can help me optimize my health so I don't run into those sleepy time injuries.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, this is a matter of doing it ahead of time, to think now about your health, not just now as in this morning before that work day. That's part of it.
Right.
But you're also saying we need to be thinking about our young people and make sure that they're healthy now, because it adds up. This is cumulative, right?
Yeah, and I think our biggest healthcare crisis right now really is in the younger generation. It's in these kids that are coming down with these chronic adult illnesses.
Diabetes.
Much earlier. Yeah, we used to call it adult onset diabetes. Right now we can't anymore because we've got 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds with it. And so what we're looking at is, how do we start at the very beginning? How do we start to get them to realize that if they do small things every single day, even if we do bad things, sometimes we do this black and white in our health, right? We wake up and maybe we were, you know, too hurried to get a good breakfast, so we get something that maybe we deem is unhealthy. We go to the office, it's somebody's birthday, we have a piece of cake, we think, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and then all of a sudden our health is shot that day, and I say, well, I'll just do the rest and not worry about it, start again tomorrow. Right? But even in that day, if we said, okay, well, I've done all this, but when I go outside of my car, I'm going to take the stairs instead of the elevator. I'm going to do something little. Maybe I'll walk to the mailbox instead of stopping on my way home in the car. Doing even something little that day can give us much, you know, needed momentum for the next day to continue on that path of keeping it in the forefront of our mind.
I think parking the furthest distance you can from the building you're going to, kind of key,
you know,
right?
People used to say, you know, we get so lucky when we get the closest spot to the building. I think luck is getting the farthest spot away, because think how much healthier you are when you get back to the car.
And you also kind of alluded to this, but I think this is a good point to maybe reiterate. If you've caved for most of the day, don't just think, well, the day is lost, I'm just going to continue to cave. That that late night popsicle that I used to enjoy, not a good plan.
I wish it was just a popsicle. Most people are late night cartons of ice cream, but a popsicle would be a good idea. Instead of the ice cream, that would be another great choice to make. But you're right. I think if we can just realize, and I'll throw a science word out at you, it's called bioaccumulation, where the more good we do for ourselves, the better it treats us, you know. And so even if it's something small each and every day, that has the same accumulative effect as something bad each and every day. And the body's smart, right? It's going to use the good. That's the very first thing it's going to use. If you show up at a building site and there's good materials and bad materials, you're going to build with the good materials first, and your body is exactly the same way.
All right, an interesting point, and I'll play devil's advocate for a moment. When we talk about chiropractic, I remember my grandmother always saying to me, well, if you go to a chiropractor, you'll always be going to a chiropractor.
Always go, that's right, we're addictive.
But that's the thing. It wasn't because you have to go back. It was because the simple fact is this, again, cumulative.
Right.
We start to reshape things and get things back the way they should be.
Sure.
That is not a fast process. It takes some time. And if you continue to do it, good results.
I talk to a lot of people about posture, right? Whenever I'm in a setting and I ask people about posture, everybody starts to sit up a little bit taller. And then if I ask the question, who here feels like they have poor posture? I would say 80% to 90% of the room raise their hand. The other 10 to 20% probably didn't even hear the question, right? I mean, most people feel like they have these things that they're struggling with in their frame. And so as we get the frame to look better and to act better, then it does better for us also. And so I always laugh kind of and curtly tell people that I'm also addicted to brushing my teeth. I'm also addicted to eating good food, because I feel what it does for my health, and I make sure that it's a part of my regular routine. I mean, you had someone on the show earlier talking about, changing tires in their car and making sure that their cars are fuel efficient for the summertime. I say the same thing with our body, right? Let's make sure that our bodies are as efficient as possible.
The summer blend of fuels.
That's right. The summer blend of human fuels, for example. Make sure your alignment's checked. Make sure that all those types of things, so that when you get out and go for your run, your bike ride, your hike, because those things are taxing physically to our bodies. And if we don't give back, right? I always think if we drove a really nice car, we would treat it really nicely. Sometimes with our bodies, we expect a high level of performance, but we don't give it back very much.
We're treating it like a rental car.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not.
Right? And we don't have the insurance that we paid for it to just bring it in and say, hey, I just trashed this, give me a new one, right? I mean, that's the issue.
I want you to talk a little bit about your practice. You're in Camas in 1 day a week, but in Heber, that's your main
Heber's the
spot.
kind of main hub, and I go to Camas 1 day a week to service that group of people also. It's what I love to do. It's my passion. Health has been my passion since I was in chiropractic school. I thought it was kind of just about people with back pain. 80% of the world suffers from back pain, so I thought it was a good, long type of career that would always be needed. And as I was in school, I started to learn these tools that I use now and teach now to keep my health going as long as possible, right? We don't talk about just life expectancy, we talk about health expectancy. Mm-hmm. And as long as I can live as healthy as I can live. And so that prompted changes in me. I lost nearly 70 to 80 pounds while I was in school. I started running more, I started being more active and treating my body like that machine that I want it to be. And so at 36, 37 years old now, I can say I'm probably the healthiest I've ever been in my life right now. And I would love in 10 years to be able to say that same thing.
And of course, as you and I have talked about, though, even better, especially as parents, if we can, to make sure that our kids are living that way the whole time, because their lifespan will increase.
Right.
This, it's, as we said, so much about cumulative damage.
Right.
I think maybe even body age, we talk about that as opposed to your real age.
Sure, exactly. I mean, there are plenty of people that come in and they tell me how old they are, and my jaw drops on the floor, either for a good reason or a bad reason, right? I tell people that health is not an age-related disorder, right? I mean, we see, I knew a lady that for her 94th birthday took a skydiving lesson. She'd never been before. That was what she wanted to do to ring in 94. She brought her 60-year-old daughter along, and the daughter fared much worse than the mom at the end. Mom said, hey, what's wrong with you, And I think those are the images that I like to keep in my mind, is how do I just make sure that cumulatively I'm getting to the point where I want to be at 94, 95 and doing those types of things. And it's not genetic. People say, oh, well, it's genetics. I must have great genes. And I almost think, well, yeah, but there's a lot of work involved at the time, too, to really just make sure that each and every day. And with the kids, it's especially important now. I think, the biggest travesty in any healthcare statistic that I see is that our kids are supposed to actually live a lower life expectancy than we have, right?
Which is,
dip now, which is never really done before. And I've got 5 kids. I'd like them to, far outlive where I am. One of the biggest challenges I have is once they're teenagers, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and they've had these, habits that they've grown up on, it's very hard to change those there. And so if we can start when they're really young, it becomes a lot easier. But it's never too late. That's the other great part about the regeneration of our body, right? Even if it takes us till me, I was 30 years old.
Before you started thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah, and then I finally said, okay, I'm going to get back to it. And I think even 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds can all continue. Our body has that great power to heal itself. We've seen it manifest. We call these medical miracles.
But you've got to start somewhere. Now, one place you can start, we can listen to more of these conversations on KTMP.
Yeah,
You're on there.
Actually,
when are you there?
Yeah, KTMP is 1340 AM, and it is podcasted also, so you can jump on iTunes, search out Dr. Scott Phillips. The show's called For the Health of It. I try to enunciate that pretty nicely so people don't think I'm being crass. And and you can search either of those on iTunes. It's a weekly show, half hour every Thursday, 9 to 9:30 in the morning, and we just try to talk about those easy things that people can do each day.
That's right. Well, the biggest part of it all is just like the vehicle, to get back to that analogy, get it in for that first tune-up and see how things are doing. So you can check out Dr. Scott Phillips and his business. Again, it's out at Heber, Lifestyle Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Get well for this summer and for the rest of your life. We've got a lot more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show as we come back from this break.